Hampshire College astronomer Dr. Salman Hameed, Mr. Universe, here doing some kitchen table astronomy at your Amherst kitchen table. Are we going to talk about mummified Mexican aliens today and that whole Mexican Congress that was presented right on the floor of Congress? A body of what looks like E.T. Spielberg seems to have gotten it correct. What, are we talking about that today?
I would love to, but no. But here is the thing. I actually really love that whole thing. And I also really found it, I would say, ironic, the New York Times coverage of it. New York Times did put it on the front page,
yeah.
But the way they said it is like, oh, it was completely unbelievable. I mean, who would sort of like, talk about this kind of mummified alien? And the tone of that article is like, you're right. But New York Times has been peddling the same kind of stories for a couple of years, including somebody who claimed that U.S. has, for example, in possession of alien bodies, alien sort of like pilots and so on and so forth.
Alien technology.
Right. So that's the reason I love it. That, oh, wait a minute, when this comes from another country, equally crazy in terms of the ideas, it goes like, oh, of course we don't believe that. Well, look, what crazy idea is that? So
we'll wait till the peer-reviewed study.
That's right.
Yeah.
But hold on. But it depends upon the peers, man.
Yeah, okay. What we are going to talk about is a planet in the Goldilocks zone, which is what astronomers don't just love fairy tales. They love to find planets outside of our solar system that might be able to host life, or at least life as we know it here on Earth.
Right, and this is actually a great example of, look, the way we were talking about, I mean, astronomers or scientists, would love to find life elsewhere in the universe. And people spend their lives looking for even an extraterrestrial sort of DNA or molecular, microbial life, anything sort of they would give anything to have that. And just imagine for a second if something like this mummified alien or these extraterrestrial bodies, if people who work in this thing, who have dedicated their lives, if they thought there was even a shred of sort of credibility in there, they would be spending all of their time here.
They'd be popping bottles of champagne.
Not just that, but also looking for follow-up questions regarding these things, rather than trying to find, hey, look, here is an exoplanet that may or may not have life. And that just gives you a little bit of a taste of how science works. And I also think that in some ways, this is two different ways that people are sort of thinking about aliens, in the sense, one is this public perception and some interest groups that are saying, hey, we have alien evidence and on Earth, these alien bodies and so on and so forth, and DOD and the Senate is spending money on it, and it gets great contracts. But then we have this other stuff taking place with James Webb Space Telescope, which is much more sobering, but I think much closer to what we actually know about.
One of them is real science, and one of them appears to be hype. One of them has better visuals, a mummified E.T. body on the floor of the Mexican Congress, and the other one might be an infrared photograph that has been translated for the human eyes to see of something very far away.
Right, so let's talk about that, but that's the reason I actually like the story about the mummified alien, because it goes like, okay, well, you take this, well, let's make it even more extreme. And then how do you feel about that, right? So to me, it's there. But what I want to talk about, again, we should not forget how exciting this field is, and what a special time we are living, and what an amazing telescope James Webb is. So there is an exoplanet which orbits a star which is known as K2-18. This was discovered by the Kepler Space Telescope. This planet around it, it's called K2-18b. So the first planet that gets discovered gets a small b as a designation. It's about 120 light years from Earth. It's bigger than Earth. It's a little bit smaller than Neptune. So as it turns out, these kinds of planets, the mini Neptunes, or when planets are a little bit bigger than Earth, super Earths, they're actually very common in our galaxy, except that
Wookiee.
Except that we don't have them here in our own solar system. So we don't exactly know, mini Neptune is kind of like a gaseous planet, Or is it like a bigger rocky planet? So we don't have a closer example. But this particular star, K2-18, is a red dwarf star. So it's much smaller than Earth. And again, these type of stars are much, much common in the universe. But this particular planet orbits it in its habitable zone, which means that it receives a similar amount of heat as Earth does from our sun.
So the size of the sun can be bigger and it can be hotter, let's say, and the planet is farther away. Liquid water could exist there. Or it could be smaller and closer. Liquid water could exist there. Not too hot, not too cold. Just right. The Goldilocks zone.
That's exactly right. So this this planet happens to be in there, and it takes about 30 days, 33-day orbit. So Earth, I mean, so this is another way of thinking about it. It all makes sense. Like, that the Earth, it takes 365 days to go around, and so it's farther away from its star. Whereas this particular planet, K2-18b, it's much closer, and it takes about 33 days to orbit. So that's okay. So we've had other planets that we have discovered. All it takes is you can actually calculate what type of a star it is and how far it is from that star to be in a habitable zone. That is not the most exciting part so far. What's interesting here is that Hubble Space Telescope had observed it and had found maybe a hint of an ocean on this planet, maybe. And so this was in 2019. They call it sort of like a Hycean planet. And what that meant was basically that it has probably a sort of like, an ocean or a lot of water, maybe water vapor form. Again, we exactly don't know, but with a hydrogen-rich atmosphere. And we don't have that thing. And so it was like really an interesting place, interesting planet. But now James Webb Space Telescope, for obvious reasons, this was one of the important targets, and its first results have just come out, and they have detected methane and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And again, just by themselves, I mean, of course, they can be produced by natural processes either, but it also does not have much ammonia, which again leads to this combination, suggests it's a more interesting planet that we think it might be. And James Webb Space Telescope can actually, because through spectroscopy, it can actually measure what is in the atmosphere, which is an amazing thing to do because you don't see the planet. You actually still see the light from the star. But as the planet goes in front of it, so this is sort of like, this planet in some ways sort of like, comes in front of it and it eclipses the star a little. We don't see the planet, we only see a dip in the light of the star. But in this particular case, as the starlight passes through the atmosphere of the passing planet, we see the kind of molecules that are in there.
And spectroscopy uses the color spectrum, right? You can tell by the different colors that emanate from that starlight going through the atmosphere of that planet what that atmosphere is made up of. Methane, carbon dioxide, huge on this planet, destroying it currently, but indicative of the fact that we're alive here.
Well, and so basically those molecules are absorbing light. And so every molecule, the way it absorbs light, for example, it gives it signature because every molecule, just like fingerprints, has its particular signature. So that's how we can actually detect whether it's carbon dioxide or methane and things like that. So that is all very exciting. Scientists think, well, this is great, but there is one more detection of a molecule. That is what is getting people excited. This is dimethyl sulfide, or DMS. And this particular molecule here on Earth is only produced by life. And in fact, much more particularly from plankton in a marine environment. So now you can see sort of like,
big ocean, plankton, marine environment.
Exactly, and we know, for example, you have life here around sort of like volcanic vents, underground, under the ocean, and so on and so forth. So you go like, wait a minute, this could be an interesting place. So I want to caution people here because this detection is not fully confirmed. But if it does get, and we have examples, for example, in Venus, the detection of phosphine, it turned out to be an error in the measurements, and it's unclear whether there was phosphine or not. They're going to
They thought there might be aliens in the clouds of Venus for a short amount of time there, which would have been awesome.
Exactly, which may still turn out to be true, but right now, but those measurements were turned out to be false detection. So I don't want people to immediately go like, oh my goodness, we found life. No. And James Webb Space Telescope is scheduled to do many follow-up observations of this particular planet. And so it's an exciting, tantalizing, I would say, hint. But if dimethyl sulfide is there and it gets confirmed, because follow-up observations can actually go, there is a hint of it here, then you can do more and you go like, oh yeah, it is there. Then of course, and this is how science works, a lot of the scientists will try to show, well, can it be produced naturally without life? Or is it really potential life? And if it is there, what other molecules you would expect to come out in detection, sort of like, along with dimethyl sulfide. But this is certainly an interesting place, and maybe this is giving a hint of life, but not yet. But if I can just close down the loop, just think about how carefully people are looking for this thing, confirmation. Is there any way we can explain it other than life, and so on and so forth, and contrast that with congressional hearings about aliens and also about this, which I love, this mummified Mexican alien, which was from Peru, by the way. There is a whole thing of how it came from Peru. That's a whole other story to that.
Well, obviously this alien likes to travel, so this 110 light year away planet with oceans, that's where the mummified Mexican aliens go on vacation.
That would be funny. It's where it comes back to life and it says, K218b, my homeworld.
Love it.
All right.